Boom, you looking for this?
Okay, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever, go watch it first. It's a pretty good movie. Yeah. We'll be talking about it in this review, but this is completely spoiler-y, I guess. So
spoilery.
Yeah, go watch the movie first, come back and watch this. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever is out. It's finally here.
And it's the final movie for Phase 4 too. I feel like that's kind of been overlooked.
Yeah, it really is, and which is actually crazy to think about. And I think it was a good one to end on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's definitely a return to normal Marvel. It felt like a normal Marvel movie to me.
Yeah,
in all the best ways possible.
Yeah, but obviously, they had to address what happened with Chadwick and T'Challa.
Yeah.
Consequently, and I think they did it well. I mean, the whole movie kind of revolves around that, as I feel like it should, and I feel like they executed well, and they handled it properly.
Yeah, it was just a crazy. It was a crazy thing to watch, just because in real life this man died. And the way they handled it in the movie, like it was almost probably like being in the hospital room.
Yeah, and it was so. in real life too, it was so unexpected.
Yeah,
and they kind of translated that to the movie, like
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and Shuri said, he didn't even tell me I can help him until it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
It just hit home, and the intro, dude.
Yeah,
that was
completely
moving,
it was dead
dude.
silent, and it was only Chadwick. But like, so back to the point you made about it being sudden. It opens up in Shuri's lab that we see in Infinity War in the first Black Panther, and she's frantically trying to do this thing, and she tells everybody to leave the room. She's trying to find this cure. She's trying to recreate the heart-shaped herb, actually, and it's crazy. She finds something that's like a 29% success rate. She goes up and is about to go hand it to T'Challa, and Queen Ramonda walks in, and she's got tears in her eyes. And the immediate reaction of Letitia Wright as Shuri was incredible. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, her performance. We'll get into that later, like all the actors. But the standout Phase 4 Marvel in general, she did a really good job.
Yeah, but I'm just saying specifically for this scene, it made it. Obviously you got Queen Ramonda but like Shuri, the way that she reacted, like it was like 1 second she was okay, and then it hit her, and she was like.
And here's the thing too, like she probably wasn't even really fully acting in that moment.
No, not at all.
Because it actually happened in real life, and she was very close to Chadwick, and so was the cast.
Yeah.
So this movie was probably very real to them to shoot.
Yeah, and so T'Challa dies of an illness unknown to us. They chose not to reveal it, which I think is a perfect. I'm glad they picked up right where it was. They could have explained it away, but I'm just glad they left it.
It was more focused on him than like what his illness was.
Yeah, what he was dying from.
It was more in this movie too. I feel like we kind of said that it was kind of a celebration of Chadwick as well.
Mm-hmm. It really was, and you see that You see that as they approach the intro, it's a celebration of Chadwick, and then toward the end of the movie, we'll talk about everything in between as we go along. But just since we're on the subject of Chadwick, toward the end of the movie, she finally Shuri goes to get over his death, and she's sitting at this campfire, and I love it. She just like closes her eyes, and she's like coming to terms with everything that's happened, and you just see glimpses of him walking in like. All the king's guards are all doing like this, and he's just like.
That's what hit me more.
Yeah.
The intro was crazy. That was like in the theater. Everybody was just sitting there. Like,
yeah.
Man, but that part at the end, after we had watched the whole movie, it just hit me. I was like, dang, man.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad too, because it just. Like you said, they're not. There's almost a point where they're not even acting. It's real. It's raw. One of my friends pointed this out to me, and he was talking about how like this is a movie built around the idea like the sudden death of a random character, but it happened in real life too, and they're getting their almost raw reaction.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure Ryan Coogler had just approved like the final script of the movie, and then he passed away. And they contemplated not even shooting the movie in general.
Mm-hmm.
And well, they went through with it, and I'm glad they did. And he had to rewrite the whole movie. Yeah. And, I mean, I think they did a great job with it. And also, at the end, after that campfire scene...
we get a post-credit scene, so...
a little bit of something for the recast T'Challa fans, perhaps.
Yeah, it maybe... And I honestly don't know how they're going to react to this. But at the end, she's still sitting at the campfire. This is in the mid-credit scene. And Nakia, T'Challa's, I guess, wife... it was never confirmed, but I'm assuming it's his wife. Walks up and she's got a little boy with her, and she sits down. She's like, "Yo, Shuri, I want you to meet." I think he said Tucson, something like, I don't know what it was. I couldn't. Like,
it was his Haitian name.
Yeah, it was his Haitian name. And he's like, "Yeah, that's actually my Haitian name. I'm actually T'Challa, son of King T'Challa." And I was like,
Prince T'Challa, dude.
Yeah.
that tugged at the heartstrings, man.
Yeah,
and it's not a recast, and. I mean, take with that what you will. Recast T'Challa fans out there, but I mean, they still could bring back a variant like we've discussed. And I think this was a good move by Marvel. I mean, we didn't even discuss this. We theorized for hours on this topic. Yeah. And that was something neither of us saw coming. Yeah,
I didn't. There were a couple twists in this movie that we'll cover in a minute, but that was specifically something I didn't even see coming. Now, I guess that we can, now that we've gotten the most important thing of this movie out of the way, it was something that was very near and dear to us because we loved T'Challa in the MCU, and we know everybody did. Like, I don't think he had any negative.
No,
feedback.
I mean, everybody loved T'Challa and everybody loved Chadwick.
That's really. And that's what I mean when I say that. I mean them interchangeably. Obviously, Chadwick as a real person is a lot more important than T'Challa as a character. But it was incredible. But I mean, transitioning from that, we can talk about the overall story and things that I thought were great. So obviously, Shuri's dealing with a lot of problems. So is Queen Ramonda, and. We'll get into Namor in a minute, but basically we can talk about Shuri for a second because I thought what they did with her character was incredible too.
Dude, she had quite the arc in this movie. I mean, yeah, the whole thing with, and I never really thought about it before. Like, she lost her dad, and then she loses her brother, and then in this movie, which I did not see coming, she loses her mom. Yeah, I did not see that coming, dude.
I didn't either. So if you've seen that clip in one of the trailers where Namor's standing at the edge of the palace. Basically, he breaks into the palace, throws a water bomb, she drowns, trying to save Ironheart. And I thought that was incredible, because I like Queen Ramonda's character, but she almost had to die for Shuri to propel forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too, and I mean, that, it propelled her character, and it's kind of like we've said with Thor, except they made Thor a goofball. Yeah. Except with her character, they did it right. Yeah, and developed her character forward.
Which really, you would say they developed her character forward, but they took her a step backwards too.
Right, and sometimes
she had to learn the lesson T'Challa had to learn in Black Panther: Civil War. She almost echoed the same exact line. Vengeance has consumed me. I will not consume my people, or something like that. Right as she's about to kill Namor, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Dude, I will say this. I mean, my jaw dropped in Multiverse of Madness just because of the other head explosion that happened there. Yeah. But my jaw dropped probably 4 or 5 times in this movie. And, I mean, there was just multiple things. I was like...
Yeah, which we can talk about that, because I know one you're thinking about. So, Shuri actually ends up recreating the heart-shaped herb using something she retrieved from the Talokan, as well as just her own ingenuity, because she's probably one of the... I think she's at least second smartest. I'm still holding out on Tony Stark. But she's definitely now the smartest character in the MCU. And she recreates the heart-shaped herb. She takes it, and if you remember from Black Panther 1, whenever you take it, you get to visit the ancestral plane. So here, we watch her take it, and you see her kind of do like a Moon Knight kind of, thing to bring it back. But she goes into the ancestral plane, and she like literally, I say spawns, but she like rises up out of the water that her mom
that was a really interesting
in the throne room. Gets up, she's on the backside of the throne, so she can't see who's sitting on it. And it looks like Queen Ramonda sitting on it. She walks around, and boom, who is it? It's not... I thought it might be T'Challa, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know what to think about this, but it's freaking Killmonger.
Yeah, oh dude, my mind was blown. I was like, okay, because I mean, yes, Disney's got money, Marvel's got money, but
yeah.
Michael B. Jordan being such a great actor that he is, and so many things he's got going on, I mean, I did not see him being in this movie at all.
Yeah. And he almost says something, he was like, who did you expect to find? Like, who did you were looking for me? And, you know, almost like you see the person you want to see. Like, T'Challa got to see his dad, and really she got to see Killmonger because she wanted vengeance. And that was such a good, like...
That was great.
That was such a good thing, because it's like she wanted vengeance, and she almost wanted him to kind of push her to vengeance. Like, she wanted to be told that it was right.
Yeah, and in that moment, when she took the herb, that blew my mind. And I was kind of thinking the same thing, like, oh, are they going to put T'Challa here? Mm-hmm. Which I will say, I don't know if they tried to look for scenes that had been shot and scrapped.
I was thinking the same thing
in the past and try and make it work and CGI it in, because I'm sure that was CGI anyways. Mm-hmm. And if they couldn't find anything, then they went with Killmonger, or they were to begin with. But I will say this: I'm glad they didn't like animate Chadwick.
Yeah, if they would have done like a Princess Leia Rogue One type thing, that would have just been ridiculous.
Yeah, I think, and either way, it was awesome to see Killmonger back.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really cool, and it worked perfectly with her character, as you were saying.
Yeah, because she ends up getting the Black Panther powers. She goes and they end up going to fight Talokan and Namor in the water, and it's all a plot to like get Namor separated from his people in the water, which I thought was genius, because that's like the kind of the source of his power. But one thing I noticed is, like, different from T'Challa and kind of like the whole Killmonger thing, is she was chasing after vengeance and with no regard to the people. Like, she was perfectly willing to let them die.
Yeah.
So she could get vengeance on Namor. Like, she wasn't even thinking about the will of her people, or like the betterment of her people, which kind of contrasts from Namor, who I think is a great... Let's just transition to Namor.
I mean, dude, Namor to me... I was saying this on the ride up here to my wife, dude. The standout of Phase 4, I might even say.
Standout of Phase 1 through 4.
But maybe besides Kang, obviously Kang's going to be awesome, but he hasn't seen much screen time.
Yeah.
This man, Namor, dude, he was incredible. I loved his character.
Incredible. What a lot of us thought Gore the God Butcher would be, that was Namor.
Dude, that's facts. Dude, Namor blows Gore out of the water.
Yeah.
Literally,
yeah. Literally out of the water. I was there were a couple scenes whenever he first attacks Wakanda, after he kidnaps Shuri, she comes back. That you'll see all that in the movie. We won't break it down. But he attacks Wakanda for the first time, kind of as like a warning shot, like, "Hey, you cross me, I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah,
bro, he was absolutely slaying. He was just like, I have to admit, I was weirded out by the feather wings on his ankles. But after watching the scene where he used them, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! Like,
the way he moves is just so beautiful.
It is. It's fluent.
It really is. They did it perfectly, by the way. The CGI and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. And he's just, he's moving around like literally like they call him the feather serpent god or whatever. Bro, he's just like, he's moving like a serpent, bro. He's all over the place. Sick. And one thing I loved, and maybe I'm the only one who heard this, but like whenever he would sit still and you could kind of hear the feathers flap, you could also hear kind of like a hiss from the serpent, which I thought was amazing. But less to do with action, because action is important enough for a villain. But also we got like the why. We got a backstory. Oh yeah,
his backstory. I bought into his backstory too, man. I mean, I pretty much everything they did with this character I liked.
Yeah, there wasn't actually. I don't think there was anything I disliked about what they did with this character. I mean, basically, we can kind of run through it a little bit. Obviously, somewhat comically, he grew up. He was birthed into a village, or he was going to be birthed into a village that was dying of smallpox. You know, whenever Westerners or whenever European people came over, they brought smallpox. Like, this just what happened because people from the other side hadn't seen that kind of disease before. And so they're dying. They take some of the equivalent to the heart-shaped herb because they had found something. And he was the first person to like be birthed.
Yeah, that was cool,
having ever received the heart-shaped herb.
And he said he was a mutant.
Yeah, he said he did say he was a mutant.
That was another one of those moments.
That was another one of those jaw drop moments. But basically, like he was a child king from like 6 years old, and his mom died, goes to bury her, burns down an entire place of people who have been like abusing people.
When he was still like a child, dude. That's what set the tone for me. I was like, bro, this guy.
But it was completely just cause too. And
it was.
And you see that like he makes his people retreat back to the water. He's like, look, those surface people are crazy. Like, we're going underwater, and I'm gonna protect you, which is something that we talked about before, like how Wakanda is all about maintaining their national sovereignty, and that was something that we thought would be under question, which it kind of a little bit was, but not really. He's all about protecting his people first, which I appreciate.
And I think he's about 500 years old.
Yeah.
And no one ever knew about them. I mean, even the Wakandans, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, they literally know almost everything. But
I mean, just the whole concept in general. I mean, I know we've seen Atlantis, and I think that's what they're originally called in the comics here too. But I'm glad they changed it up because it would have got confusing with Aquaman and all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just the whole concept, I feel like they executed it perfectly. I mean, because we got the whole thing with Aquaman. But to me, and this might be controversial, but to me, I like Namor more than Aquaman at this point.
It's not even close. I mean, Jason Momoa is good in Aquaman and everything, but the way they dealt with Namor, and I don't know, he was written incredibly well. And it's an easy why to get behind too. Like, as he's not really a villain, per se in this movie. He definitely is the main antagonist, but I wouldn't call him a villain. Yeah, because he's really just protecting national interest of his country, which is a completely respectable deal. Like, I understand that.
I mean, at the end, obviously we didn't want the Queen to die.
Yeah.
But at the end, we were obviously, rooting for Shuri, the Black Panther. By the way, definitely confirmed now.
Yeah.
But we were also like, please don't die anymore.
Yeah. I have to admit, okay, there's a scene where Shuri gets stabbed by Namor, because I was talking to you as it happened, but he like earths up, he's on the ground like getting beat to a pulp, and they separated him from his power pretty much.
He was in the desert.
Yeah.
Dried up.
And he like finds the vibranium spear, and it took me a second, but I was like, dang, vibranium can go through vibranium. And I was like, she can get stabbed right now, and you just see the spear go.
And that was another moment I went,
yeah, smack through.
I was like, no way.
And one of the cooler moments, I think, showing like Shuri's willpower and lust for vengeance, which like she ended up getting over, but she cuts the spear in half, pulls herself through it.
That was insane.
As Namor's trying to go to the water, jumps in front of him, and like has him at spear point, like threatening to kill him. But then guess what she sees? She sees Queen Ramonda. Yeah. Reminding her, it tells her, "Be who you are," and or show them who you are. And then she lets him go. She's like, "Look, we'll protect you. We'll be allies, but you have to yield."
Yeah.
And he chooses to yield.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene, and I saw that coming. Like, you got Killmonger trying to lead her this one direction.
Yeah.
And then I figured at the end, right before, because I'm thinking, no way they're going to kill Namor.
No, right, I thought they were.
She's going to kill him. And that scene reminded me in general of Civil War.
Yeah.
With Cap about to kill Iron Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured someone, either T'Challa or her mom, would come through and say, hey, this isn't who you are. And either way, I mean, like we said before, if they didn't have that line somewhere in the past that they didn't use in the movie with Chadwick, I'm glad they didn't like CGI something in there and force it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think it worked either way.
It definitely did. And that was something like we see Shuri get over her lust for vengeance. We see Namor finally like come to terms with this. Like, he's still Talokan first to everything that he's doing, but like he like yielded. He was super. I don't want to say he's prideful, but he was willing to accept a compromise. And so that was cool. So we kind of got to see a resolution from all the main characters. Obviously, we had some Ironheart in there. She's pretty cool.
Ironheart, yeah, we got Ironheart. We got.
Then we got our boy Bilbo Baggins. I can't remember his name.
Well, first we got Gollum in Star Wars. Now we got Bilbo back.
Yeah, I mean everything's crazy, dude. He's married to Val.
Apparently, there used to be. Apparently, that was another jaw dropping moment. I was like, what?
So,
but it was cool. I think in general that they wove her into the storyline,
which I think I think that's cool as well. We're kind of getting to see like why the Thunderbolts might be a thing. And to protect national interest, which I thought we might see a peep of John Walker in there, but we didn't. I was hoping we would.
I figured you were, dude. He's right up there with Ultron for you.
Yeah, dude, he is, bro. Him and Cyril, bro. Cyril the cereal guy. But anyway, we had some Ironheart. We had Bilbo Baggins. What else do we have?
I mean, M'Baku, dude. M'Baku was he didn't get much screen time in this, but I thought he was a star, dude.
Also, M'Baku is challenging for the throne, but he's not challenging Shuri. So I think what we're looking at is Shuri's going to be the Black Panther. He's going to be the ruler of Wakanda until your boy Young T'Challa grows up, and then he'll take over, which will be cool to see.
I mean, I think that's a good thing too. I mean, we've always loved M'Baku. Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be cool to see. I mean, I'm sure they'll make a third Black Panther, probably a fourth.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, like you said, he'll be at the throne, and Shuri will be Black
Panther.
And
it gives Shuri like license to, because before T'Challa was tied to the throne, and he's their leader. If he dies, they're up a creek without a paddle, and detaching the Black Panther from the throne is a smart idea, just so that if Shuri were to die, which I hope she doesn't, obviously, but if she were to die at some point, she they still have to rule her. But I guess transitioning finally into obviously the plot. What do you think about the runtime of the movie, the pacing, all that stuff? This is all minuscule details. So
yeah, I mean, I think the pacing, it was obviously a very slow movie, but I think it had to be.
Yeah.
With the whole emotional aspect of it. And I feel like if they would have pulled a Fast and Furious like everybody's been doing recently,
literally,
we'd have been like, okay, but you didn't honor Chadwick in this.
Yeah.
And I feel like at no point in the movie was my mind taken off like, okay, dang, I missed T'Challa and I missed Chadwick, because the characters in the movie missed him as well.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Obviously, it felt a little bit slow at some points. There was maybe some things they could have stretched out here and there, but ultimately, the way it all tied together, it almost had to be like that. I thought it ended well. Obviously, from beginning to end, we saw a complete and clear arc for most of the main characters, for most of the side characters. But other than that, I really don't have any complaints. This is the first Marvel movie I probably walked out of pleased, since
in a while, yeah.
Since No
Way Home, yeah. I really love this movie, and I'll say I haven't said that about many movies this year.
Yeah,
I love this movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's great too. I'd probably give it about, I think an 8 out of 10. I think is what I'd shoot for.
I agree. I think it's definitely. It's definitely worth a watch. Obviously, hopefully you've watched it if you're watching this review, but.
You just did yourself a disfavor.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's your own dang fault, man. But let us know what you guys think if you've watched the movie. We'd love to hear what your thoughts on it. T'Challa's son, Killmonger back to some extent.
Dude, that was sick.
There's a lot that happened. Namor's a mutant. Namor's still alive, thankfully. But all that being said, just let us know what you guys think, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.